Hi, I'm James, and this is a video to help you get set up and started with the AirChat and Messaging Pro plugin for Bubble through zeroqode. Just before we jump into it, if you need any help building your app or product, feel free to reach out to our team by visiting our website at zeroqode.com. We're the largest maker of plugins for Bubble, as well as the top gold tier Bubble agency. We have almost 10 years of experience and can help you build any web, mobile, or AI product, or even help automate your business. While you're there, make sure you check out zeroqode.com/plugins. This is the full list of all the plugins we make, and there's over 800 of them, probably even more by the time you watch this. There's something there to cover pretty much everything your app could possibly need to do. For example, there's Stripe Marketplace Express for accepting payments within your app, Mapbox Maps for super customizable advanced maps functionality, AWS File Uploader, which is great for saving on Bubble hosting costs, and so many more. So make sure you check all that out as well. So let's start with an overview of the plugin itself. So what this does is it enables you to create and install a fully functional chat experience within your app without manually setting up all the groups and actions and everything associated. It does it all through just the one element, the one plugin. And that covers everything from one-on-one chats to group chats to sending files, editing messages, deleting messages, everything you'd expect from a full-featured chat application. So from the plugin page here, let's have a look at a couple of links that are pretty important to set this up for you. First is the live demo link here on the left. So that's going to open up a pre-built Bubble app by zeroqode with the plugin installed that'll let you experience it from a user's point of view. So let's just I'll put in my name here and I will log in. And I can now access the chat and see how this would feel from a user's point of view and check out the functionality and make sure it does what I wanted to do within my app. So I can see here, we're in a group chat right now. I can see all the messages. I can say this is a test and it sent that from me. I can see files. We can then move on to a one-on-one chat and then the experience of setting up a new chat with someone from like a messenger type experience where you're starting a whole new conversation. So you can see how much this can do and how you can customize this and set this up just to work for your specific app. If we go back to the plugin page, the second link right next to the live demo button is the demo editor button. And that's going to open up the exact same app that we just saw, but from the Bubble editor point of view. Now, this is really helpful for kind of pulling apart the plugin and seeing how it works before installing it within your app. So we can see how it functions. We can see if we open up the multi-chat view here, all the properties and parameters that you can control and set up and change for customizing how the app looks and works and how you've set up the members list on the left and the files on the right. That also goes through to all the workflows associated with this plugin. So you can see how certain actions have been set up and certain functionality has been achieved. So definitely something great to look at before installing to see if it does what you're wanting it to do. Similarly, on the right-hand side here is the documentation link. This will give us step-by-step instructions for setting this up and building all the common functionality and everything that needs to be set up and installed to make this work the way it should work. Now, we're going to be referring to this pretty comprehensively as we go through this demo video, so we'll come back to this in a bit. But just as a quick overview, you can see an overview of all the fields and what they all do. We can jump down to actions that you see in workflows, events, and then states that we can reference within our app. I normally keep this open in a second tab while building. It's great to reference while going through the installation and configuring process. And the last thing I want to mention on this page here in the bottom right is our support chat bubble. If you have any questions at all about this plugin before installing, while installing, troubleshooting, while working with it, send us a message here and we'd love to help out. All right, let's jump into the Bubble editor and see how to set this up. The first thing we need to do is get this plugin into our app. So from the main Bubble editor, on the left-hand side, click on the Plugins tab, and then in the top right, click on Add Plugins, and we're going to search for AirChat and Messaging. And there we are, AirChat and Messaging Pro by zeroqode. Now, there are two options to install this plugin in your app. There's a once-off purchase, or there's a monthly subscription. Now, the monthly subscription is actually the most risk-free way to try this out, as you're charged on a pro-rata basis. So you're only charged for the days that you have the plugin active and installed in your app. So if I installed this today, for example, tried it out for a day, realized it wasn't quite right for me and uninstalled tomorrow, I'd only be charged for that one day. In this case, $5 divided by 30 days in the month. So a really great way to test this out without committing to a larger purchase and just making sure that it works for what I'm looking for. Whichever way you go, install this plugin and let's jump back into the editor. Excellent. Okay, now that we have the plugin installed, we can start setting things up. So in our assets section, if we search for chat, you'll see we have a new element called chat. I'm going to drag that onto the canvas. I'm just going to make this column so it works a little bit better in terms of stacking. Excellent. Okay, cool. So now if I select this, this is the element where we set up everything. Okay, immediately we can see there are some things that need our attention. So for first thing, I'm going to enable file uploads. And then for message type and message source, I'm going to be referring to the documentation. A lot of the setup of this plugin is following some steps to configure things so that the whole chat experience works the way it should. So in the documentation here, I'm just going to keep this off to the side. We can see there's a step-by-step how to set up, and we'll walk through that together. So we have done this already. We've placed the chat element on the page. Now we need to go to our database and set up a few new data types. So I'm going to jump across to the database over here. Now I've actually set up a couple of these already. So let's have a look. We need to, if I go to data types, we need to set up messages and chats. And in messages, I've put all the fields here that we have here in the documentation. So the images list, we have a list of images. Reply name is text. Reply text is text. Send time is date. The actual message itself is text. Then we have the user ID, the user image, and the user nickname. And we can see that all here in the documentation as well. Great. Okay, so this is going to be the actual messages that are sent in each chat conversation. And these are all the parameters that we need to reference and display on the front end during those chat conversations. So showing, who the reply is from, the reply text is, what the actual text is of the message, when it was sent, and the user ID and the username and all that sort of thing. So that's what this data type is for. The other one is chat. So if we scroll down a bit further, and this is the kind of group, the parent chat that houses all the individual messages. This one's a lot simpler. We can see we have a name of the chat and we have a list of messages. Now this is referencing the data type we just made of messages. So this would be create a new field. We call it messages, and the data type would be messages with this checked. This field is a list because there's multiple entries of this data type. We don't need to make that again because we already have it here. Excellent. Once we have those two data types made in our database, we can go back to the design tab and start configuring this a bit further. So if we scroll down in our documentation, we can now turn on a few other things. So for message type, we go in and we set that to be the messages type that we just made. And that'll then give us a whole bunch more fields that we need to map and source. So if we continue down, the message source, we want to do a search for chats. And we want it to be the first item's list of messages. So it's going to search for the chats, which we know is the parent data type. And the very first one it finds is going to be the list of messages inside those chats, inside that chat parent group. And now we map up the rest of these to the data type that we just had in our database that we just set up. So for the message text, we will go the text of the message. The user image is, where are we? User image. The message send time, though, will be the creation date here of that data type. Images and messages will be the images list. User ID is user ID. Username, user nickname. Replies will be reply text. And replies from will be reply name. Okay, looking good so far. While we're here looking at the properties within the chat element, let's scroll a bit further down and see what else we can work with. So we can see a whole bunch of styling information here. What theme do we want, light or dark? We can then style the input itself, the height, the font size, the font color, the padding, all the border information, the background color for the input and the placeholder. And we can change it to enter your message if we want to customize it a bit. We can even then specify the exact icon used for the send button, which is very, very handy to make this look very bespoke. I think that's one of my favorite things about this plugin is we can customize everything. We can make this feel just the way we want it to feel. And just like the send button, we can see that we also have the emoji icon, the upload image icon. Then further down, we have all the settings for the bottom bar. The emoji order, the send, like the order of the buttons in that bottom toolbar, how high the bottom toolbar is, and the padding. Further down, we can now see a bunch of style settings for the time. Do we show the time the message is sent? What color is it? What font size? The format of the time? Or the padding? And similar for the names of each user that's sending messages. Do we even show the names? What's the color? Is it bold? What's the padding? Same for images, all the styling related to images, and then the messages themselves. So the background color is the text color. We can set different colors for if it's from the user or from everyone else. then general styling below that. Context menu styling, emoji bar styling, lots of styling options here. We'll have a look at this in a little bit once we finish setting up all the properties to make the chat work. But for now, let's keep scrolling down in our documentation. So we have this set up. We now need to configure some workflows to make sure that the messages send and display. So let's go to our workflow tab. So to start with, we need one workflow here. So we're going to set up when a chat message sent. And we only have one chat element on our page. So when chat a message sent is our trigger here. And we can see that here in the documentation here. So the first action in this workflow is creating a new thing. We want to create a new entry in the messages database. So I will go data things, create a new thing, and we want it to be messages. And within this messages action, we then need to set all the fields related to that message. So let's have a look. First thing, we'll do user ID, and we're going to match it. We have it here in the documentation. So for user ID, we're going to say current user's unique ID. User image, current users, profile image. Now this was separate to what we set up in the previous step. So you'll have a separate data type here for your users. And this is where I would put the profile image and the username. So this can be unique to how you set up your app and how your users are handled. You may have different fields here for your users. You may want to display a profile image or not display a profile image. But if you do want to be displaying those as part of the chat, this is where you would set them up in your database, in the user data type. That's where these two are coming from, or the user image are coming from, and the user nickname is going to come from. So I'll set current users username. For sent time, we will say current date/time. For the actual message text, we're going to say this chat's last message sent, as that's the one we're wanting to store. The one that was just sent, we're going to add it into the database as the most recent message. For reply text, we're going to say this chat's reply text. For reply name, we'll say this chat's reply name. We have images list. We're going to set the list. That's going to be this chat's last sended files. And the last thing we need to add here is the creator is the current user. Great. So that's step one. We've created a new entry in our messages database. Step two, we need to associate it with the parent data type of the chat. So we're going to say make changes. Where are we? Make changes to a thing. And the thing to change is, we'll do a search for chat, and it will be the first item. And what we want to change with that is the list of messages. We're going to add the result of step one. So we're going to add this new entry in the messages database to this parent chat database entry. Oh, and I think we have that here in the documentation here. There we go. So that outlines it for us here. Great. That's everything we need to set up for this to work then with each user. So to test this out, we're going to go to the database. We'll go to users. Actually, we'll go to app data. That's better. And we can run as these test users. So I have two test users in here. And I've given them both example profile pictures just so we can see what's going on. And if I go run as, let's see what we end up with. Looking good. We have a chat. So I will say test and send. And there we go. Now I will say there is one thing we need to make sure here, and I ran into this issue when I was setting it up myself. So if we go to the workflow, you'll see that we're creating a new messages entry, and we want to then make changes to the chat, the parent chat that's associated with this message. Now, the way we're doing it, we're searching for chats and finding the first item. If you don't have any items in your chat database, this won't work because I won't be able to find the first item. So if that's the case, you'd want to set this step to be create a new item and then add the list of messages. So this will depend on how your app is set up and how the chat is configured and how it behaves in your app. But keep that in mind then. It'll either be searching for chats or creating a new chat item and then adding the list of messages. But in our case, I already have one here. So the preview has worked well for us. We can see, even refreshing again, we have our same message here. Hello. There we go. That's worked nicely. Now the colors are very hard to see. So let's go in and change some of those. Now that we have that working, we can actually style this and make this feel a little bit easier to use and read. So we wanted to go to the message style settings. So the user message background color, maybe we'll just put a darkish gray. No, let's do a light gray. And then the message color can be almost black. Now let's try that. That's a bit easier to read. Looking good. Now, if we go back to our database here, and we go to our users, and we run as the other user here. There we go. We can see those messages were sent as if they were from a different person. And this is a reply. And there we go. The second person is now messaging. And again, this is very hard to read. So let's change that. Back to the design tab. We had separate sections here for, where are we? I've lost my spot now. There we go. For the color of the user's messages or the other's messages. So we want to set, let's just do the same here. And this was 1C, 1C, 1C. Now let's hit preview. There we go. We can see this a lot more easily now. So our first example user has come across as another user. And this is now our active user here. And as we saw, we can change the color of this whole area. We can change each of these icons. We can change the order of these icons in the toolbar, the height. We can put a stroke around this. We can make this styled in any way that we want so that it looks and functions the way we want it to work. And we can also then reply to these. If I right-click on this message and press reply, this is an actual reply because I said this is a reply up here. And there we go. We can see it's referencing that reply there and how that relationship works between those two entries in our messages database. And if we actually go to the database here and open up messages, we can see the most recent message here. We can see that it is replying to this and the message and how that reply works with who the user you're replying to is and all the information here. So like we saw here in the demo, there's a lot more this can do in terms of group chats, sending files. You can style this in any way you want. You can see here there's a dark and a light mode set here. You can show a list of your members just straight from the database here on the left and any files that are associated with the chat, and really customize this in any way that that makes this as powerful as you want it to be for your app here. So have a play around with this demo. Have a play around with the demo editor as well to see how it's all set up. But this should be everything you need to get this view here, the back and forth core functionality of the chat working within your app. And that's about it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful. And if you have any questions at all about this plugin before installing, while installing, send us a message. We'd love to help out. Happy building.